the high-pitched ringing filled the cold, white halls of the hospital. The old woman's life slips away, and in the deafening mechanical screech, signifying death, stood one little boy, the power of his God running through his body. With his own hand, the gift of life had been exchanged with the mercy of death. You're probably wondering what I'm talking about. We'll explain that. I'll need to go back to the beginning. Orel was a stop-motion animation comedy TV show. Wait, that's too far back. Just to the beginning of the episode. That's right, episode 6, Omnipresence. We find Orel immediately after taking a big stinky poo. When he uses an aerosol spray to cover up the sinful smell, it accidentally goes off in his face. Orel gets mad, saying he hates the spray can. Roberta hears this outburst and tells him that he shouldn't hate the can because God is inside of it. In fact, God is everywhere because he is omnipresent. And that includes Orel too. It should be noted that Roberta cares more about the aerosol can than her kids, probably because it helps her clean up messes while the kids cause messes. Orel has a little chat with God, also known as praying, during which he comes to the conclusion that if God is inside of him, then he's blessed. What does that mean? Well, I'll tell you, right after a word from my sponsor.
Ooh, you suck!
The next day at school, Orel is asked in what year did the Boston Tea Party take place. He listens to his inner God, who as it turns out isn't too familiar with American history, because Miss Scultham says his answer is wrong. Orel says she is wrong because he feels his answer is correct. Like Ben Shapiro, Miss Scultham says,
"Facts don't care about your feelings."
Orel gets triggered, and because of his outburst, he's sent to the principal's office, but refuses to take God there, instead ditching school for the day. Orel is guided by God all around Morrilton until he comes to a pond. Before he can walk on water like Jesus on my Brenton Mage in Morrowind, Orel sees an old man attempt suicide. He quickly calls 911. As the man is stretchered away, Orel, along with God, goes to the hospital to help heal sick people. He ends up in the room of an old woman, wailing in pain. When Orel announces he's going to heal her, she says to pull the plug on the machine if he really wants to help. Orel is hesitant to do so until...
I couldn't. That would be playing God. Oh, wait a second. It won't be playing. God is in me.
And so Orel mercy kills the old lady. Nurse Bendy calls Clay, who has a talk with Orel.
In my study.
Clay explains that while there is a little God in everyone, it's not enough to really matter, and it's not Orel's place to decide who lives and who dies. Only God and the government can decide that. Orel asks why would God want the old woman to suffer, to which Clay responds,
Maybe she was a loose woman. Or maybe she didn't love Jesus the same way we do.
So it's decided that people can't be judge and jury, so just judge. Alright, so that was episode 6, Omnipresence. It's a pretty good episode. I really enjoyed it. A little fucked up, but that's par for the course when it comes to moral Orel. A few things I want to point out is this was the first episode where we get introduced to Nurse Bendy. She has a bit of a story arc. She's more than just a dumb blonde. She's just really dumb. But more on that in a future episode. I wanted to point out another thing. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Yu Yu Hakusho, but the Dr. Lazy Man, or whatever his name is, looks a lot like a fat, older Kuwabara. I just couldn't help but notice that when I was watching this episode. So the whole premise is, God's everywhere. What we call omnipresent. Then they also, the other aspect, or other two aspects, I guess that would be the right word, is omnipotent and omniscient. Wait, am I saying that?
Omniscient.
Omniscient. I can't say words. So you got omnipresence, where it's everywhere. God's everywhere. Then you got omnipotent, meaning all powerful. Then omniscient, meaning all knowing. And it's really weird because it's like, how can you be one of those and not the other? If you're all powerful, wouldn't that mean that you're all knowing? Wouldn't that, if you're everywhere, wouldn't you have to be all powerful to be able to do something like that? It's a weird aspect of It's almost like, it's like trying to figure out infinity. It's like, how do you comprehend something that just goes on forever? I'm trying to sound smart, but I can barely pronounce those words, so whatever. And lastly, a big thing of this episode was euthanasia. And I don't mean kids in China. So, you know what? Hey, tell me what you think in the comments. And no, fuck it. Don't try to keep it civil. I want to hear what you guys think. As for me, well, I'm going to point you to my main man, Jesus. He'll tell you exactly how I feel.
I'm not touching that with a 60-foot pole. Next caller.